to line 3. And on line 3, I am welcoming, and the long title, Shadow Minister for Justice and Public Safety, Emergency Preparedness and Disaster Management, Pam Parsons. How are you this morning?
Hi. Well, good morning, Darren Benson. It's nice to hear your voice on the airwaves again. It's good. You're doing a great job. Enjoying listening to Openline, of course. So good morning to you and all your listeners. And I wanted to call in today to talk about, I attended a meeting last night here in my district, Harbour Grace, Portagrave district, down in Bishop's Cove with the council. And one of the very important topics that took much of the agenda and much discussion, and there was engagement as well from citizens who came out to take in the meeting, as well as the fire chief from Upper Island Cove, Mr. Harvey Mercer, was present, and to talk about fire safety and fire preparedness. As we know what we experienced throughout the province just last summer, particularly on the North Shore in Conception Bay North, which is literally the neighboring district to mine. We saw what those people went through, the devastation, and each and every firefighter, you know, how they put their lives on the line, not just from the local detachments, of course, here, but every department in Harbour Grace, Portagrave also attended the blaze, as well as firefighters from across the province. So we know the severity of that. So that was very important last night, and just, talking about how residents can also just even prepare their homes, not having debris outside, and knowing how to properly dispose of batteries, etc. And even having those solar lights around your yard. I mean, they have batteries, which could be indeed a fire hazard. So hats off to them. And just last week, Darren, actually it was last Friday, here in our district, we had 2 wildfires happening at once. There was one that started in Bishop's Cove that burned all the way up to the border in Upper Island Cove. So that, and only for the wind was blowing a certain way, according to the fire chief last night, that could have gone, that could have been much worse than what it was. So thankfully for those wind conditions, but that said, it was extremely windy.
Yeah, and we saw that in a couple of places too, Pam. And of course, it's something that we're all acute to now. And when you talk about the being prepared as a homeowner, it's always good to pay attention to some of the new programming that's offered out through the firefighters. I believe there's Fire Smart and Fire Fit and all these different things. And municipalities need to share the information with their residents. I even heard last year, people that are putting compost around shrubs and stuff up against their house, not a good idea. The bark and that sort of thing on top of the compost is actually a fire hazard. So, there's all kinds of things we're learning about fire safety that we never thought we'd have to, but here we are. It's a reality now, isn't it?
It certainly is a reality now, and you're right. It was a big eye-opener. I mean, wildfires are not just something that are happening in other provinces or other countries. Climate change is real. It's happening here, and as we know, we're gearing up now. As you mentioned, I am the Shadow Minister for Fire and Emergency Services and Emergency Preparedness, so I am certainly calling on the Minister and the Department. There's a lot of applications that go in each and every year, and every MHA would be well-versed on this. Every department, of course, applies for funding, whether that's for bunker gear, different sorts of gear such as helmets, coveralls, and even fire trucks. And I mean, we do have those applications in every department. And I want to give them a heartfelt thank you for the Bay Roberts Fire Rescue, Spaniards Bay Tilton Fire Department, Upper Island Cove, which is also responsible for Bishop's Cove and Bryant's Cove, as well as the Harbour Grace Volunteer Fire Brigade. They do outstanding work, and they all work together, Darren. If there's a call, if there's an emergency on the Veterans Memorial Highway, if there's a health condition that someone's calling, someone's having an episode in their home. I mean, these first responders they're responding to everything. It's not simply fires. They're there and they're at the ready 24/7. So I always say we sleep easier at night knowing that these men and women are there. So a heartfelt thank you for them. And of course, I'm always advocating for resources for my departments. We do have some applications in. I did have a conversation and some correspondence with the minister on that. I'll be certainly following up, but just advocating for the equipment that these men and women need to do the job safely that they're doing on behalf of each and every one of us in all of our communities, as well as our infrastructures. Also,
and they do work really well together. And one of the things I was amazed last year, of course, my community had fire on both ends, and nothing like the devastation our friends over in Conception Bay North on the North Shore suffered, of course. But when we needed help, fire departments that weren't in danger at the time were sending supplies and they were sending pumper trucks, and they were sending water tankers and all this different stuff, so we knew we had friends. And I know when the call came out in Conception Bay North, the fire department, CBS, and other fire departments around the Northeast Avalon and across the province sent people there to help out as best they could. And that's the way it's supposed to be. And, it's great to know that it's actually happening. Sometimes you hear things, it should work like this or should work like that. But actually, they do work really well together.
They are, you said it right. I mean, they are to be commended because they work as a huge team. We had fire departments from across the province that were helping out with CBN wildfires. We also know that we had the town of Holyrood. Part of Holyrood was evacuated. We know what we experienced there and how the people came very quickly. But again, it's a team effort here. And just those wildfires that we had, or what could have been a bad wildfire, but it was contained. According to the fire chief last night, there were several. There were Spaniards Bay attended, Harper Grace Department attended. They even had Carbonear came up, as well as Upper Island Cove. Of course, were on the scene. It was in their jurisdiction. So they do certainly work together. And so as many of the resources that we can get for these people, they have our full support. And this is not political. Those firefighters, when they're going out to put on, to put the strap up, ultimately to lay their life on the line, they're not political. So, I'm really hoping that we see fair distribution of the resources and the funding. We do know that we had a big allocation by Global Medics, with a private company, of course, that provided fire skids to a number of detachments across the province. We know that there's a round 2 coming up. I know my departments have all applied for these fire skids, as well as many. So hopefully we look forward to seeing that and to welcoming those donations.
Pam, I'm a mile past my break now, so if you're good, we'll move on. If you had something else important you wanted to say, we can come back after the break. You let me know.
Well, I'm good, but one thing I will say in conclusion, there's an event at St. Paul's Church Hall in Harbour Grace for a fundraiser for the Conception Bay Museum. It's on April 24th with music and acting and a lot of local talent. So come on out and support the local museum. And Darren, I look forward to our next call. Hopefully you'll be sticking around, and we'll chat again soon.
Thanks, Pam. Going to break. Dave, we'll be back.